Hey, Sojourn. In light of the recent reminder of the racial injustice in our country, we wanted to send a short video out to just let you know where your pastors are in this. I want to start here, though. Proverbs 31. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth. Judge righteously. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. Proverbs 31, 8 through 9. In recent weeks, Sojourn, we have been reminded of something that we already knew. That racial injustice is a historic and present reality in our world. In recent weeks, we have witnessed opposition to perpetual inequalities and systematic injustices in our country, particularly along racial lines. We have witnessed and we have seen heartbreaking footage. I mean, gut-wrenching and heartbreaking footage. And we have seen and witnessed deeply moving and heartwarming demonstrations. There has been so much to lament, Sojourn. There's been so much to lament. But as the people of God, here's what we want. Here's what we're after. Here's what we long for. We long for a world that is just and righteous and peaceful, a world where every life matters equally to everyone simply because every life was made in the image of God. And it should go without saying that that includes black lives. It should go without saying that that includes black lives. But unfortunately, given the historic racial injustice in our country, we are compelled to say that black lives matter. That black lives matter. In fact, matter is the minimum we should be saying, that black lives have the same dignity and worth of every other life, because dignity does not come from the color of your skin or the size of your bank account. Dignity comes from the image of God being stamped on everyone. That is where dignity comes from. It comes from the image of God. The image of God imprinted on everyone. However, we live in a fallen world. We live in a world where sin has wreaked shop on everything, and racism and racial injustice are real. And racism is sinful and it is demonic. And in a world of racism and racial injustice and racialized societies, the church ought to be joining God in a righteous anger. Joining God in a righteous anger. And beyond that, the church ought to lead the way toward wise, compassionate, and courageous action. We are called to work for the shalom of everyone, the social, economic, emotional, spiritual, and physical flourishing of all people, Jeremiah 29. And all too often, Sojourn, Christians have been slow to speak, hesitant to take action on behalf of the poor and the oppressed. There is no denying that we, and I'm speaking primarily and particularly to my white brothers and sisters, that we have heard their groaning. And we have too often found it too difficult, or at times lacked the courage to enact a meaningful change, which has done nothing but compound the suffering and the wounding of our black brothers and sisters, which is understandably exhausting. As Christians and as caring neighbors, we mourn with those who mourn, and we stand in solidarity with those who are peacefully and thoughtfully pursuing change. Listen, we do not condone violent retaliation, but we wholeheartedly support and even encourage the right to peacefully protest. The road toward justice will not be an easy road, but it's time for the Church of Jesus to pray, to think, to speak, to lead, and to unite in all forms of racial injustice. Listen, no matter how difficult that road might be, we want you to know that your Sojourn pastors are inviting you in to join us in seeking practical and actionable opportunities to serve the marginalized, in particularly our black brothers and sisters. The church ought to do the hard work of maintaining open, honest and loving dialogue, and wherever there is injustice in this world, the church ought to be on the front lines, speaking up for those who are the recipients of injustice and proposing wise and courageous solutions, while modeling a loving, passionate, but yet determined and joyful posture. On June 21st, in a few weeks, I'm going to teach on this, and we'll have a little more to say then. I want you to know that we don't have all of the answers. We don't have close to all of the answers. We are dealing with incredibly complex realities. But as your pastors, Sojourn, we want you to be aware of the depth of conviction that we share around working for the flourishing of all of our neighbors. We have made mistakes in the past. Sojourn, we will make mistakes in the future. But we are going to make our mistakes leaning into and fighting for and working for the flourishing of all of our neighbors. Working for a day, longing for a day, praying for a day where the gospel has so taken deep root in us that it works itself out in the world and we see an end to injustice. This is the day we long for. We love you, Sojourn. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.